My name is Maren Satke. I'm working for Die Berater, an Austrian further education company, and I'm the project coordinator of the project PACE, Project Actors Community in Europe, and we organize this today's webinar. PACE, the project, and this platform you all might have already seen, was founded to to create a kind of active community of European project actors to work together to improve our project management ability in European projects and to support each other, to provide some tools for project management and to motivate other people from outside the partnership also to contribute to the development or to the provision of these tools. So today we will have a webinar on evaluation, especially with a focus on the changes and new challenges in Erasmus+. Now I want to welcome our presenter, Guy Tilkin, who is a member of the PACE partnership, and he has a long-standing experience in doing and evaluating European project management. And I think I give now the floor to him, and he will tell you the rest. So I hope it will be useful for all of you. Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Guy Tilkin, and I'm going to talk to you about project evaluation in the context of Erasmus Plus projects. I have to say that there is also 10 people in this room, so I'm not only talking to my laptop, I'm also talking to a live audience here in the room. Where is this room? This is the place where I work. I work in a place called Landcommanderij Aldenbiesen, which is, as you can see, a very big castle in the east of Flanders. We're very close to Maastricht, about 10 kilometers west of Maastricht, but on Belgian ground. And this is a state cultural center. And from here, we run European projects. We organize seminars and so on. So we're heavily involved in European educational and cultural projects. Aldenbiesen State Cultural Center, we do a lot of activities dealing with education, with culture, all international. We have boarding facilities. We run contact seminars for projects to be created and so on. So, and in this we cooperate with our national agency. So, evaluation in Erasmus Plus, three big questions, I think. How are we doing? So I think when you run a project, it's very important, of course, that you manage the quality of your project, that you do evaluation. And three major questions: how are we doing? How do we know? So in what way do we surface indicators for the quality of our work? And a very important aspect, which is in many occasions simply forgotten: what do we do next? Because a lot of or many evaluation sessions start with gathering information, perhaps processing information, and then there it is. This is the report. But in what way are you going to act on the results of your evaluation is also a very important aspect. So the question, what do we do next? Good. In this presentation, I'm going to tell you a bit more about why evaluation in a European project context. So why do we evaluate? Then the concept of self-evaluation. What does it mean, self-evaluation? And who is the self in self-evaluation? Then the question, what do we evaluate in a project context? What is important? How do you do that? So what instruments do you use for your evaluation? Who is supposed to do it? Then what about the evaluation plan? And then some specific elements on how is evaluation and how are the activities of evaluation changed now if you insert them in an Erasmus Plus context, in the context of an Erasmus Plus project, a KA2 project. So that's the outline of this presentation. Good. So why do we evaluate? And here you see many reasons. There are many reasons to evaluate. Of course, the first reason that pops up in your mind is we want to improve our project. We want to have quality in our project, and we want to make sure that the results, the outcomes are of good quality. So, and of course, that is a valid reason. So improve the project outcomes and products is the most valid reason to do evaluation. But there are other reasons to do evaluation. To make the project outcomes more visible. Perhaps you are in a situation in your organization that they say, oh, you're doing European projects, but what are the outcomes? Why do you do that? What's the impact, etc.? So in that case, you can say, okay, let's evaluate the impact. Let's evaluate a number of outcomes and make sure that they are a lot more visible for instance, the decision makers in your organization. So you can have a specific purpose, a specific reason to do evaluation. Another possibility is to check what objectives we have met and to what extent. Yes, so what were our objectives when we started this project? Why did we do this project? And in the end, did we achieve what we wanted to achieve? Yes, and you have to measure that. In this case, probably 2 times, in the beginning of the project, or even before, and at the end of the project, so that you can measure progress, that you can measure what has been achieved through that project. To measure impact, because of course, every project is meant to have some impact on the target group. Again, how do you measure this? You can do evaluation exercises in order to know what impact your project had. To reveal strong and weak points, think of a SWOT analysis. What is good here? What is weak? How can we change things? To identify the obstacles. Some things are going wrong. What is blocking us? Where are the obstacles? Or also a very valid reason, because normally at the end of each project you have to write a report. And if you write a report, of course, it's very good to have some figures and some data in order to prove that you have done this evaluation, that you took care of quality, and so thanks to evaluation, you can create a portfolio and you can put that in your report. And another valid reason is to professionalize decision making, so that whatever decisions you take in your project in terms of change or whatever, that the decisions you took, that they are based on data, on valid information. And the other one is simply to learn, to improve, to learn from what you are doing. So as you can see, there are many reasons to evaluate your project, but of course, and this is why is this the first slide? This is the first slide because the why of your evaluation will determine the how and the what in your evaluation. Okay, so this is for me the first slide. Why do we do it? And from there on, we take it further and we say, okay, what are we going to evaluate and who is going to be in charge? Good. So the next slide, the next point is, what do you want to evaluate? And we're talking about European educational projects. And here you see 4 sectors, let's say, or 4 columns, and there are organizational matters, there are process and methodology aspects, there are outcomes and products, and there is impact. And in this respect, and they are also a little bit in chronological order, because, of course, when you start a project, and normally a European project lasts about 2 years usually, so that means, and sometimes, or in many cases, you are in a new partnership, so it's very clear that you have to learn to cooperate. So the organizational matters are very important in the first phase of the project. And here we're talking about planning and management, quality of the planning and quality of the management and the leadership and the coordinator. What about the composition of the partnership? Is this okay? Who are the people that are working in this partnership and working in the organizations of the partnership? So you can evaluate that. What about commitment? Commitment and ownership. Is everybody cooperating well? Are they committed to the project, or are they leaving this project on a sideline or something like that? Do they feel ownership for the project and for the products? What about coordination and leadership? Is communication running well? And what about organizational learning? Is are the organizations in the partnership learning from their work in this project, and are they improving their tasks and their role in the partnership? So these are a number of organizational aspects that you can evaluate, preferably in the first phase or the first year of the project. But then, and sorry, this first thing, I would say answer the question, are we doing things right? Yes, are we doing things the right way? The second column is about process and methods, and here I would add the question, are we doing the right things? Which is different. Yes, we have a number of objectives. We have put them forward when the project started. So these are the objectives. Are we doing the right things in order to reach the objectives, in order to achieve what we want to achieve? So are we doing the right things is also a very, very pertinent question, and this deals with the methodology and the processes in the project. We're talking about monitoring and evaluation, because you also can evaluate the evaluation. We're talking about working methods within the project, about the innovative aspects of your project. Is this project innovative? Do we disseminate in the right way? And is there individual learning? Because most cases, practically in all cases, I think one of the objectives is individual learning. One of the objectives of project work is individual learning. So is there individual learning? Are the students, the learners or whatever, are they learning in the way that we wanted them to learn through this project? So this is process and methodology. Of course, in the first phase of a project, there are no products yet. So when we come to the third column, there we see, and that is probably for the second phase of the project or the second year of the project, what about the quality of our products? And here we see website quality, the quality of the manual. If you are creating a manual, are you organizing a conference? What's the quality there? The network, the material that you have created. I will come to criteria later. Yes. So this is the third phase or the third aspect of the evaluation. And then a very important one, but last but not least, of course, the impact. Again, did we achieve what we wanted to achieve with our target group? And that target group can be an international one or a national one. It can be in your own institution. It can be your pupils. It can be your students, your learners. It can be the teachers, the trainers. So whatever. So, of course, for each project, there is a target group, and then the question is, how do you measure impact on the target group, or how do you prove that there is quality impact on the target group? So, if we answer or try to answer the what question, what can you evaluate in a European project, there are a number of elements here. It also, of course, depends on the project. When I talk to teachers and when we talk to school teachers and when we're dealing with school-to-school projects, then perhaps the product outcomes, they're not creating a manual, they're not organizing a conference. Yeah, so they will probably stick to the column 1, 2, and 3 for evaluation. It depends on your project. So that's the question, what? And then there is the question, who? And then, for me, there is one big rule. The project management and the partnership is in charge of the evaluation of the project. So, and that's the first sentence here, evaluation is linked to the development process of the project. So evaluation and monitoring is so closely linked to the running of the project that you cannot leave evaluation completely to an external person or an external body. So every partnership should be in charge of its own evaluation. And in that respect, for me, every project evaluation is self-evaluation. Yes, I'm not talking about personal evaluation. Yes, so in that respect, the cartoon that you will see is a bit referring to personal evaluation, but that's not the case. So self-evaluation is not personal evaluation. Self-evaluation is evaluation organized by, in this case, the partnership or the coordinator or a dedicated partner in the partnership, in the project partnership. They run the evaluation, they set the criteria, and that's a distinctive feature. And that's the second sentence. Self-evaluation is seen to be self-initiated, internally organized, and self-regulated. So, yeah, you organize it, you set the criteria, you decide who is doing it, and so on, and that is self-evaluation. The third sentence, where legitimacy and accountability based on externally imposed indicators are at stake, then evaluation processes are external. So if there are other criteria imposed by an external body, then we're talking about external evaluation. But that's usually not the case in project work. So for me, the self-evaluation is the partnership, is the organization. And they should be in charge of the evaluation, which does not mean that they have to do all the evaluation themselves. So who is doing the evaluation, that's something else. But who is in charge of the evaluation, that's the organization. And that's important, I think. And of course, it also depends on, and this is a slide of the role of an external evaluator. It of course depends on what capacity in terms of evaluation is present in the partnership. Are there partners with, let's say, evaluation competences in the partnership or not? And that's a big question, because if there is no, if there are no competences regarding evaluation in the partnership, of course, then you have to let other people do it. But it's still you who decide. And here you can, for instance, see the topics in the left column. So if you want to work on evaluation, first of all, who is in charge? The coordinator and the partner. But if you don't have evaluation qualifications, but I think in an educational context many people have, if you don't have that, then of course you should seek for help outside, and then that external evaluator would be an evaluation specialist. Yes, somebody to help you with the evaluation. If you're dealing with evaluation of organizational matters, then the coordinator and the partner normally should do it, if they can do it, and they are in charge. The external evaluator is probably then, in that case, a consultant or an experienced coordinator, a peer coordinator, who will help you with the coordination. If we're talking about, in your project, about processes and methods, then of course the partnership has a number of partners that are specialized in the methodology of your project, whatever that is. And then of course that specialized partner is also responsible for the quality care of the processes there. And yeah, in that case, if you seek for an external evaluator, for external help, that man should be a specialist in the theme. If we're looking at outcomes and products, and you want your outcomes and products to be evaluated, that can be the partnership itself, or if you look for help outside, then usually we're looking at, for instance, an end user panel or the stakeholders, a product specialist. So in that case, the external help will have a different role and look at the products. And when you try to evaluate the sustainability of your project, then again, the external help is a stakeholder, policymakers, curriculum developers. So, as I said, normally project management, the partnership is in charge of the self-evaluation, but of course there can be other people doing the evaluation, and that depends on your own qualification, what you have on board in the partnership, what is missing in terms of evaluation qualifications in the partnership, and then you look for help and to fill the gaps. That's the idea, and it's more the idea, even, and I will tell that later, more now in Erasmus Plus than it was the case in lifelong learning. So this is about the who. Now, How are you going to evaluate? Evaluation is always asking questions. Evaluation is always dealing with criteria. And if you have quality criteria, then you have to ask the question, how do we know? That's, if you remember the first slide, how do we know? How can we surface evidence? How can we make sure that there is proof and that people, that we as evaluators and the people we are going to report to, that we know that it is there. And there are many instruments for evaluation, and for the ones who are really interested, I've been part of a project called SEAL, Self-Evaluation in Adult Lifelong Learning. It's SEAL with triple L, and there you can find a very nice manual, but it's also uploaded in the PACE platform, where you can find a large number of evaluation instruments. But whatever instrument you use, you always have to ask questions. You have to create your own questions. Whether or not you put them in a questionnaire on paper, with tick boxes or open boxes where people can write, there are always questions. And here, of course, you have to look at what are we going to evaluate, what is the situation. If you have a one-day conference, you might, at the end of the conference, say, okay, here is a questionnaire, or you can do quicker. You can use quicker means. So here you see, for instance, interviews, individual interviews or group interviews. If it comes to impact, you can do some observations. Perhaps you observe your students or the learners or the teachers, whatever target group you have, in terms of what are they doing, what are they using, how many times, etc. Also, that is an evaluation instrument. Like participation rate, how many times are people doing this? When it comes to product evaluation, of course, then it usually comes down to document analysis. Yes, or a group discussion, or in this case, for instance, and here we have a picture, a bullseye. When we have a conference, perhaps at the end of the day, and here you see it's Thursday, you see how satisfied am I regarding content, organization, and learning atmosphere in this project. Then you take dots, or you just put dots on this bullseye. Of course, the center is very good, the periphery is very bad, and you immediately have data. But it's not, I have to say, it's not about the data. If you look at the first sentence on this slide, ask the right questions and generate discussion. That is the most important element. So if you have, for instance, used this bullseye, then you know, okay, perhaps in content there are a number of people in the 50% range here on this picture. And then you can address the group, and you don't ask the individual question, where did you put your dot? No, you don't ask that. You ask, why do you think half of the group is in the 50% range? And then in a general way, which is not threatening for people, you can talk about the quality of your conference at that moment. So that's an example. The other one here, you can see this cartoon is the last one, position on a percentage line. You can ask people, okay, position yourself from 0% to 100% satisfaction about this conference, or about this event, or about this meeting when you have a project meeting. And then again, this is asking a number of questions and generate discussion, which you take on your mobile phone, and you immediately have data, and you can do something with it. You can create a report with that. Yes. So these are a number of instruments. Of course, it depends on what you are evaluating. Are you evaluating an event, a meeting, a session, a workshop, a product, a website? Of course, it depends, but it always comes down to asking questions and setting criteria. And this is, for instance, if you look, because if we're looking at quality care, of course we have to deal with quality criteria. And here you have some examples of quality criteria. These are not indicators yet, but these are what I would call quality criteria. For instance, if it comes to management and coordination, you can see what is quality of management and coordination in your case. What does it mean for you in a project context, of course. For instance, equality of participation, that all partners participate at the same level. That, for instance, the roles and the responsibilities of each partners are clear to the partners. So clarity of roles and responsibilities. Clear planning and management guidelines, that there is a text with management and planning. Clarity of organizational guidelines, or clarity of arrangements for meetings and deadlines. That would be criteria for good management and coordination. Of course, these are not indicators. If you say equality of participation, that's my quality criterion, then you still have to ask yourself the question, how do I know that there is equality of participation? How can I measure this? How can I see this? And that can be observation in a meeting, in a project meeting, and you see there is one partner not talking at all, or not contributing, or not sticking to the deadlines. Of course, these are indicators there. Yes? And if we talk about impact, for instance, the target group refers to the products, the website is frequently hit, the material is downloaded and used by the target group, the material is used in different contexts. So these are criteria for impact. I'm going to take the next one. For instance, and in most projects they try to be innovative, because that's even one of the questions when you write an application. What is innovative? For instance, appropriate use of ICT, didactic approach adapted to the used technology, a variety of new approaches, development of new material, learner-centered participative approach, variety of activities, installment of learning communities. These are just some criteria. It doesn't have to be this for you or for your project. But if you say this project is going to be innovative, then you have to ask yourself the question, what does it mean for us and for our product and for our project to be innovative? And then you can come up with a number of criteria. And if you have these criteria, then you can say, how do we know? What are the indicators? Yes. I'm not going to read all this because there are still some elements to come. Okay, next thing, and I said that in the beginning, evaluation usually stops with collecting evidence. And then the problem starts, because the question then is, what do we do with it? And I have to admit that in many cases, people do an evaluation because they are supposed to evaluate, and they want to put the evaluation in the project, in the report. This is the proof, we have done the evaluation. But the question is, what have they done with the evaluation? And then we come to change management. Yes. So if we have some elements that say, okay, this is very good, let's keep it like that. This is not so good, what can we do about it? Yes. And here you see some steps for change management. Of course, you have to interpret the material. You have some data. You have some figures. What does it mean? Are there reasons for the figures to be like this and like that? So you have to interpret the material. Then, of course, you organize a meeting with the group. What does it mean for us? Yeah, what do these figures mean? Of course, also pay attention to the positive things. Evaluation is not only about what did we do wrong. Evaluation is also about what did we do well. And that's even more important, as I said in the beginning. Why do we evaluate? To give proof, to make sure that to give visibility to the project. Yes. So pay attention to the positive things. Adapt if necessary. Aims, work plan, activities, product, communication means, management structure. So all the aspects of a project depends, of course, on what you have evaluated. But how do you do that? And you have to do that in the right way. That's why I also, for instance, emphasized when we're talking about the bullseye, you collect data, but then the way you talk about it, you generate discussion, but you try to generate discussion in a neutral way, in a non non-threatening way. And that's also the case when you manage change. You have to inform, of course, the people involved even beforehand, not just afterwards, but beforehand. You have to inform the people involved. But then, of course, do not impose things and give it time. Yes. And that's very important in respect to change management. Create a portfolio of evidence and take up the relevant elements for your report, and that's also very important. Most projects create an evaluation plan, and these are a number of steps in the evaluation plan, but I've dealt with it now. For me, evaluation type is always self-evaluation combined with external evaluation or self-evaluation, if necessary, help supported by an external person. And here you see the first step, purpose and goals of the evaluation. That's the why. And then the elements of self-evaluation. What are you going to evaluate? So the evaluation fields, the criteria and the indicators. And then create indicative examples for quality indicators for the project. That's one of the elements that I showed you. Create a timetable. When do you evaluate? Normally, during all meetings, you evaluate, and you evaluate the period in between meetings. You evaluate the meeting. When you are in a production phase, of course, you do product monitoring. So then, of course, you evaluate. And so on. So you have a timetable for the evaluation. You, of course, define the evaluation instruments. Then you decide, are we going for an external evaluator, yes or no, and what will be the role of that person? And then, of course, you do the reporting and change management and monitoring. And normally, you create an evaluation plan containing these elements. Okay, so that in general is the evaluation process of a European project. Now, we are, since last year, we are in a new program. We are in a program called Erasmus+, and all the project work is now, the international project work is concentrated in an action called KA2. Yes. And I have to say that a number of things have changed, mainly in terms of finances and structure, project structure. And let's have a look at it now. For the ones who are familiar with the bigger centralized projects in the lifelong learning program, there it was clear that evaluation was a work package. It even was a compulsory work package. In every application, you had to create an evaluation or a quality care work package where you described what I just described. Yes, how are you going to evaluate your project? And you could allocate a number of working days to that work package, to the evaluation activities. That is no longer the case in Erasmus+. First of all, there is no work package structure anymore. And secondly, the word evaluation is not even figuring in, if I look at the guidelines, then, and I look at the grant system and the eligible costs, the word dissemination is still there, but the word evaluation is not there anymore. That doesn't mean that evaluation is not important in Erasmus+. On the contrary, it is still very important, but it is, in a way, financially included in the general fee. And if we look at the financial structure of Erasmus+, then you all know that there is a kind of general fee, a forfeit, a lump sum, dealing with managerial aspects of your project. On top of that, for the ones who create intellectual outputs, for the ones who create the bigger products in this project work, there is the option to add days and salaries, also lump sums. There is one element I forgot on this slide. Of course, there are also dissemination activities. You can organize conferences and so on. You can do training. and there are costs there as well, but they are not related to evaluation. And then there are exceptional costs, and I have to stress on the word exceptional. Exceptional costs in the context of Erasmus Plus means costs for activities that you as a partnership cannot do, are incapable of doing. That's exceptional cost. Also, when it comes to evaluation. So when I look at the activities, the evaluation activities, when I look at, for instance, if you remember the first column of the what table, and we are looking, the first column is organizational matters, and the second column is process. When we look at those columns, process evaluation, organizational evaluation, evaluation of the methodology, all that is part of the management of the project. And financially speaking, this is part of your general fee. So in other words, it's part of your work as to run the project. When it comes down to impact evaluation, also it's in general fee. When your project is a big project and you are producing intellectual output, then of course this is production. And then you are doing a kind of product or production monitoring. That is part of the intellectual output production process, and there the quality care, the monitoring, the evaluation should be part of the number of days that you bring in for your intellectual output production process. Yes, so included in the number of working days. And when we look at the role of the external evaluator, it is still possible. And now we're talking about exceptional costs. That means we're talking about subcontracting. You can hire somebody as an external evaluator, but only in exceptional cases, only if the consortium lacks the qualification to do a certain aspect of the evaluation. And it must be duly motivated. So it is still possible. I have to say, when I compare it with lifelong learning program, there it was really common practice. It was even a positive element if you write in your application, we are employing an external evaluator. We will have subcontracting an external evaluator. That was a positive point. That has changed. Evaluation is still important, but it's mainly part of your management. An external evaluator as a subcontractor is still possible, but only if you lack the qualification as a partnership, or that external evaluator has really very specific qualifications that are needed in the production process of your project. And so it's still possible. That's the presentation. I suppose there are some questions, and Maren, she normally has written down, I've seen passing a number of texts and so on. But Maren, I think it's back to you. You are going to tell me what questions there are, and I hope I will be able to answer them.
Patricia asked some things. Starting with the first slide, Guy, it was the overview, the table with the what's. And she was asking the question, what is the effect of partners leaving the consortium because they changed jobs, for instance? They were committed, but they can't participate anymore. How does this affect the evaluation?
It affects the whole project. So if they're not participating, are you replacing the partner or not? You will have to take over a number of tasks. If that partner was the dedicated partner in charge of the evaluation, of course, then you have to look for a partner that has the same qualifications as the partner that left the partnership. In terms of how does it, if that's the only thing I can imagine that has an effect on the evaluation process. If that partner plays a very important role, I guess if you contact your national agency and say, okay, our evaluation partner has left, and now we lack the qualification to do the evaluation. Can we move money to exceptional cost and hire somebody in? I think it's possible, but you have to ask your national agency, that's for sure. On the other hand, I would then perhaps try to find another partner who is an evaluator. If that person, yeah, of course, I think if a person or a partner leaves the partnership, you have to solve the problem or spread the tasks over the partnership, over the remaining partners, or find another one with similar qualifications, or hire somebody in. But in that case, you will have to contact the national agency.
Yes, then let's stay with her, because she asked another question regarding the external evaluation. The question was, do you feel the dedicated partner should be a content expert, or can he be a partner specialized in evaluation? And how does the choice affect the final evaluation of your application?
Yeah, I think I covered it. As I said, it really depends on what qualifications you have. What are the competences that are in your partnership? Are you a good evaluator? Are there partners in your partnership that are qualified for evaluation? Or do you have, when it comes to product management, when it comes to product monitoring, then you have partners that are capable of processing and producing the product. Then the question, of course, is, do you have external people looking at the quality of this product? And then I would go for, in this case, for instance, an end user panel who is using it, and let those people look at the product. Yes? So it really depends on what are you missing in your partnership, and an external evaluator should complement the competences in your partnership. And I think this is more and more the case, as I explained for Erasmus Plus, for KA2, that they will never, I think in this case, in Erasmus Plus, in KA2, an application where you write, we are going to hire in an external evaluator to do the general evaluation of the project, like a kind of peer coordinator. I think it is not accepted anymore in Erasmus Plus. I think now, for me, it is clear that in Erasmus Plus, the evaluation and the general evaluation of the project is within the management. It's also within the management financing, the management funding. When it comes to products, intellectual outputs, there perhaps an external could come in. But then that person must really have an added value and with competences that are lacking in your partnership. Okay.
Okay. And there were two other questions from Patricia. They were about the costs. One remark was about the translation. Is the translation an exceptional cost, and can it be done by the partners? And the second question was, do you feel the general fee covers all this, or should we ask for an increase? Whatever that means.
So two questions. About translation, I know that in one of my projects, we are creating a manual, and we are going to translate that manual in all the partner languages. And we have put in the translation in exceptional costs, and that was accepted. I think you cannot expect from partners that they are linguists and that they can do professional translation of products. For me, I would put it in exceptional costs. As for the second question, is the general fee enough to do all the evaluation work? In my opinion, it is not. But I also know that we can't do anything about it. It's the way it is.
Okay, we have another question of Jaco. I hope I pronounced it almost correct. So he asked, what if you included evaluation as a work package in your project application, seeing as it is no longer obligatory in the Erasmus Plus system?
The answer is impossible. So you cannot do that. First of all, there are no work packages anymore, so you can not use the term anymore. And secondly, it is very clear that they do not consider evaluation outcomes as intellectual outputs. So there is no place to put it in the application. So for me, I mean, it's 100% clear for me. You cannot create an evaluation work package and then present it as an intellectual output. It will be kicked out of your application. Yeah. Then I can see what he's writing then. The project application was written and accepted before the new project manual. Yeah, okay. I think I wouldn't try it anymore. If that project application was accepted, then you're lucky. But I think that in 95% of the cases it will be rejected. Or let's say perhaps the project will not be rejected, but that element and the costs of the evaluation, if it's presented as such, should have been taken out of the finances. But of course, I'm not criticizing projects that are accepted and NAs that have done it that way. Okay?
Okay. So there is another question of Lydia. She asks, can you give more examples of quantitative indicators for the different aspects of evaluation?
It depends, of course, on quantitative indicators. It simply depends on here. If you look at these elements here, these criteria, or for instance, like impact. The target group refers to the product, or the website is frequently hit. Okay, that's a quantitative indicator, because you can go to the website, do Google analysis or whatever, and there you have a figure. The material is downloaded and used. There you can count it. Is used in, so it simply depends on what is your quality criterion, and so you can turn your indicator, you can look at your indicators, and some of them can be quantitative indicators. Of course, if you see here partners understand, like quality of the partners cooperation as a team, partners understand the common goal and their tasks and contribute accordingly. That is usually not a quantitative indicator. So how do you measure that partners understand the common goal? Perhaps you simply do an interview, you talk to them, you have your meeting, you ask them. When you say they contribute accordingly, that can perhaps be turned into a quantitative indicator, because you can measure how many times they have contributed. So it really depends on what we're talking about. Cooperation and communication, for instance, the last but one sentence, cooperation and communication is effective. How are you what does it mean effective? In this case, perhaps that a lot of people answer, or that you have quick communication. You can turn that into a quantitative indicator if you're going to measure how many times is a person contributing to the communication, how many mails, etc. So it's up to you to see, this is my criterion, and this is for me a quantitative thing, or this is a qualitative element. And so it's really up to you but you can find your own ways to measure things and to count things.
There's another question of Catherine. Do you know simple, user-friendly and successful self-evaluation tools adapted to Erasmus Plus projects? And there's another part of tools to collect data in a continuous way.
First of all, I would refer, because I forgot, this is the website of this project, projectactors.eu. And there you will find a lot of material on evaluation and on self-evaluation. And when you go to the evaluation section, you will find a manual, the one I referred to already in the beginning of this presentation, the SEAL manual. And in that manual, so it's on this website, in that manual you will find really a high number of instruments that instruments for evaluation of all kinds of things. Yes, and when it comes to continuous evaluation, so then I would refer to monitoring techniques or to diaries or whatever. So there are timesheets, the Excel files. So there are a number of instruments where you can say, okay, this is continuous monitoring. It depends, again, it depends on your project, on your product.
Okay, I have to do a small correction because of the website. The website is the project website, and the website links to the platform where all the material is stored. So
Okay.
if you want to have access to the material, it is provided on the PACE platform. The website www.projectactors.eu gives you a direct link. You have to log in the PACE platform, but it is free. You can just have to log in with your name and with a password, and then you have access to different materials. So there is one question coming up from Lydia.
Yeah, the EU feedback to our interim report pointed that we do. For me, monitoring is more linked to processes, to production processes. So day-to-day monitoring of production processes, while for me, evaluation is what I said in the beginning. You can do evaluation from many angles, depending on the why. So for me, evaluation is broader than monitoring. You have a number, here you can see that there are many reasons why you do the evaluation. And while monitoring is narrower, coming down to a number of processes, mostly linked to production processes.
So 1 hour is almost over, and I think this was a lot of information concerning this topic. I really invite all of you, if there are still some questions left where we didn't have any time now to discuss them, join the PACE platform, contribute to the discussion. We have a discussion forum there, and we, that is the PACE partners and also other people in the PACE community, we really try to come back to your questions and to answer them or to discuss them. So please don't hesitate to have a look and join the PACE platform. Apart from this, thank you very much, Guy, for giving us this presentation. Thank you very much for all of you who could contribute.
Yeah. And thank you for listening, and thank you for asking questions.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you.